This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
There is an amazing comment made by the Ohev Yisrael, and the Marva Shemesh makes a similar comment. In the Ohev Yisrael, at the end of Devarim, before V'aschanan, he has a short piece on this Shabbos Chazon. We were just zocheh to be in the shul of the Ohev Yisrael, Rabbi Yeshua Heschel of Apt. His shul is in Mezhbish, together with the shul of the Baal Shem and the shul of the Bach. And we were zocheh to be at his kever as well. And the Ohev Yisrael says, Shabbos Chazon is Yoiser Gedoyla B'mayla Mikol Shabbosos Hashana, is greater in its elevated status than all the Shabbosos of the year. And this is a very difficult statement. Why would Shabbos Chazon be a greater Shabbos? There are poskim who place certain restrictions on the way one bathes on this Shabbos, this Erev Shabbos. Why would this Shabbos be greater than any Shabbos of the year? And the Ohev Yisrael explains it based on a statement of Chazal, Chayiv Adam Lifgod es Ishtay b'shas sheyotzel hadarach. We know that before a person leaves and travels, they're obligated to visit their wife, meaning they're obligated to fulfill the mitzvah of oina. The reason being that when one is about to depart, it engenders great shukah, great yearning, great love, and one then has an obligation toward their wife. Likewise, when the Rebbeinu Shalom needed to destroy the Beis HaMikdash, that was a parting of the ways. The Gemara tells us, Miyom shechar Beis HaMikdash, chomer shel barzel, yesh chomer shel barzel, beinenu uvein Avinu shebashamayim. There's an iron wall between us and the Rebbeinu Shalom. So when the Rebbeinu Shalom allowed the Beis HaMikdash to be destroyed, that was a parting of the ways. If that's the case, that engendered great shukah and great yearning and great love of the Rebbeinu Shalom for Klal Yisrael. And this is the way the Maggid of Mezrich explains why when the Goyim entered the Heichal, instead of the Kruvim being back to back like one would have expected the Kruvim to be in, as the Gemara says in Bava Basra, that when we don't do the will of Hashem, the Kruvim are back to back. Nevertheless, when the Goyim entered the Heichal, not only were the Kruvim facing each other, they were embracing each other, representing the fact that at this time when the Rebbeinu Shalom needed, so to speak, to part from us, and we did have to part ways, Haisa ki almana, we became like a widow. The Gemara says not like a grusha, we're not permanently separated, but like a woman whose husband went overseas, who will eventually return. This parting of the ways created such a longing, such a tshuka. So this Shabbos, we feel that love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Klal Yisrael, that intense, intimate love that the Rebbeinu Shalom has for us. It's begeder chayiv adam lifgod es ishtay b'shas sheyotzel hadarach. Perhaps this is a reason why Dvarim shebeinoy lebeina are also the Shabbos. As we are in such closeness to the Rebbeinu Shalom, we cannot divert our attention from the Rebbeinu Shalom even for one moment. But then the Ohev Yisrael adds one particular detail, and that is that as great as Shabbos Chazon is, especially when Shabbos Chazon is Tisha B'Av, it's even greater. It's even a greater Shabbos. We could explain this in the same fashion as the Ohev Yisrael has explained why in general Shabbos Chazon is such a powerful Shabbos. Because if at a time the Rebbeinu Shalom is allowing the Beis HaMikdash to be destroyed, there's such an intense love, then all the more so if it's not only Shabbos Chazon, but if it's Tisha B'Av itself, all the more so. But it is pointed out that there's another dimension to this, and that is typically on a regular Shabbos, Shabbos has Kedusha. But Shabbos during the 9 days, not only does this Kedusha have to produce the general Kedusha of Shabbos, this Kedusha has to overcome the period of Avelos. So that Kedusha is infused with even greater power. And all the more so if it's Shabbos Tisha B'Av, where the Shabbos not only has regular Kedusha Shabbos, not only does it have to overcome the period of mourning of the 9 days, but now it has to overcome Tisha B'Av, that Shabbos is certainly infused with even greater Kedusha. And therefore, says the Ohev Yisrael, Uvefrad kishachal yom Tisha B'Av b'Shabbos, so may we be zoicha on this holy Shabbos, the holiest Shabbos of the year, may we be zoicha to feel the love of the Rebbeinu Shalom, and may the Rebbeinu Shalom shower His love on us, be'avas olam, we should taka be zoicha to the binyan, Beis HaMikdash, m'her v'yameinu, amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.